more Producer's Picks.
And now, the feature so many of our listeners wait for each day. Producer's Picks.
It's that time of the day where Jared Diglio goes through all of his favorite stories and tells us what's on his mind. Jared, take it away.
Well, of course Biden expects us to believe that Republican voters support his initiatives and his plans. He expects us to believe he won an election.
That's true. I feel like every time he says Republican voters support me, I'm thinking, okay, so he's got Bill Kristol, Jennifer Rubin. He doesn't have Joe Scarborough anymore because Joe officially became a Democrat. But he's got two right there. Maybe Nicole Wallace, if she's still considered a conservative. Probably Bob Mueller. Let's get a list going. Who does Biden have? Who are these Republican voters he keeps talking about who are supporting these massive spending measures and these crazy ideas? Like the fact that DHS has to start worrying about their white supremacy. They have kids all over the floor packed into these plastic pods. But the number one issue is your white supremacy.
Can't have it growing within ICE or the DHS. Just can't. Speaking of Mr. President, he was sitting in a chair today in front of the fireplace, although the fire wasn't on, so I don't know if he actually stoked the fireplace today in between ice creams. But he was talking about infrastructure, and of course, we mentioned this last week. Infrastructure is whatever you want it to be. And so they are trying to redefine infrastructure. His energy secretary, I think, this weekend said, oh, we don't want to talk about the old infrastructure. And Joe kind of echoed that today.
Building a support system to take care of our elderly parents and our kids with disabilities at home so that people can go to work. That's investing in infrastructure.
He's old man yelling again.
Chips like the one I have here, these chips, these wafers, are batteries, broadband. It's all infrastructure. This is infrastructure. So look, we need to build the infrastructure of today, not repair the one of yesterday.
You know what this reminds me of?
No, we do need to repair some bridges and airports, Joe. We do.
You know what this reminds me of, Jared? That commercial where the old ladies are talking about posting on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. She's got the wall with the pictures on.
And she just keeps going, there you go. I posted. And then she goes, I friended you on Facebook. And one of the women says, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. He's like, you see this wafer chip? This is infrastructure. I'm infrastructure. You're infrastructure.
He was holding up what looks like a piece of cardboard that they put under a pizza in a pizza box with some hologram material on it, holding it up. So,
because props always go over so
well. So you mentioned this earlier about Will Smith pulling his movie out of Georgia because of the racist voting laws.
Because he's so brave.
Because he is very brave. Well, according to the Washington Examiner, Hollywood celebrities are threatening to boycott Southwest Airlines for not speaking up about new election integrity laws in Texas. My question, what celebrities actually fly Southwest Airlines? And nothing against Southwest Airlines, but don't they all have private jets? Don't they all have their carbon-eating machines they can fly in?
Well, that kind of brings up another point, which I think is worth noting. A lot of these companies, the people that they're caving to or trying to make happy are never either, like Jared said, using their product, flying on their planes, buying their maple syrup, reading their kids their books. So they're always kind of going after this crowd of people that is never going to like them to begin with. So Southwest should really just say, all right, so we'll lose George Clooney and Michael Moore, who have never flown on our plane one time, but maybe we'll gain half the country that will like us more if we don't back down. I think I know which one's going to make you more money in the long run.
Yeah, that would be like me announcing I'm boycotting Rolls-Royce. So I won't be buying a Rolls-Royce when of course I'm not.
Well, or it's like when Keith Olbermann says, we're boycotting the Masters. Okay, so the Masters lost Keith Olbermann as a viewer, and they probably gained 100,000 people who can't stand Keith Olbermann. Which one are you going to choose?
Trade-off.
It is a good trade-off.
So, remember when David Hogg launched his pillow corporation, Good Pillow LLC?
I'm so glad you got to this.
Well, unfortunately, kids, let this be a lesson. Sometimes half-baked dreams don't come true when you have zero idea or experience or knowledge of how to do it. Unfortunately, David Hogg's Good Pillow LLC venture, launched during his spat with Mike Lindell and MyPillow, has been canceled. He announced on Twitter Saturday, resigned and released all shares, any ownership, and any control of Good Pillow LLC, effective immediately. The reasons for my departure rest entirely with me and my own personal commitments, and I truly wish William Legate, that's the co-founder, nothing but the best, he wrote.
How many more? How many more liberal pillow companies have to go out of business? I don't usually steal that line from Howie, but it had to be said. How many more?
Good news, over the next several months, he'll be taking some time to focus on his studies in college and advance the gun violence prevention movement with March for Our Lives personally.
But who will make the pillows?
I don't know.
That is the question.
I don't know how. I mean, everybody's going to be a lot more woke. Get it?
But Jared, do you think that? Do you buy that statement that he's just stepping away from it for his schoolwork? I don't know. It seemed like maybe they had a falling out or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the inner workings of the pillow industry. There may be, there may be territories split up. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know who runs the strong arm of the pillow industry. So I don't know if he was muscled out. I don't know these things.
This
but
honestly sounds like a Netflix show.
But I am assuming he had an idea. He probably couldn't find any backers because they were looking at other companies and they're looking at this kid. They're like, what are you doing? No.
What do you know about pillows? Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing is that anyone who was dunking on him because, for so long he was saying, Mike Lindell, oh, you wait and see once I come out with my pillow. His pillow, not my pillow. But so people were dunking on him yesterday because it's like, oh, so I guess we're never going to get the chance to see you take over the pillow industry. And then other people were coming to his defense as if he's untouchable. You cannot make fun of David Hogg. And I saw some great points of people who were criticizing him saying, wait a second, the Covington Catholic kids, their lives were ruined when they wore a hat and stood silently and got a picture taken of themselves in a video. This kid is very outspoken. He's a public figure at this point. He made this huge deal about starting this revolutionary pillow company, and then it all breaks down. And we're not supposed to have a chuckle about that? Come on, man.
I'm amazed he couldn't find a bunch of woke corporate sponsors that don't like, conservative views, pulling anything out of the air. Delta, Coke, any number of these companies. Like, okay, fine, you don't want the Georgia election law. Well, this is a way to stick it to the conservative man. Fund these pillows.
And Jared, that's the funniest part about these corporations is that I think a lot of them, especially big ones like Coca-Cola, I think they're going based off the fact that, one, conservatives don't typically boycott as eagerly as the left does. And two, if you have a good product and you get people kind of addicted to it, which, I mean, there's no question people are addicted to Coca-Cola, then they might, their principles might not come into play as much. But if you're starting a company already saying to half the country, we don't want your business, we hate you, you have to get in with everyone first and then disrespect them. You can't disrespect them right out the gates. That's just a business tip from me.
And lastly, in news nobody asked for, a new Indiana Jones movie will begin filming July 29th of 2022. 78-year-old Harrison Ford will be back as the iconic character for the fifth installment of the franchise.
Stop.
Somebody, and I forgive my ignorance on this one, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I don't know what she's been in, but she's joining the cast.
Is she? I think she's Bridgerton.
Is that
she's
what?
The young woman
is that
from
Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that show.
So
steamy.
No word whether Shia LaBeouf will be back as younger Indiana Jones.
I think he's been canceled.
I don't know. But anyway, July of 2022, they're going to start filming this. Harrison Ford is 78 now. By then, he will be 79. So you don't know what kind of a role he has. But as Twitter points out, the guy's been wearing the same thing for 30 years. Can we just get a new person to play Indiana Jones? And I don't always like replacing with the younger, like rebooting and the replacing James Bonds. I didn't love that. But anyway, 5th Indiana Jones movie on. If you love the Crystal Skull, you're going to love this.
You know I'm going to have an opinion on this, Jared. Here's my take. Well, first of all, disclaimer, I've never seen Indiana Jones. So I cannot comment on the movie because I have zero interest in watching it. But 2, you're saying, oh, I'm not always a fan of replacing with younger or whatever. Why do we need another Indiana Jones, period? Did the movies not cover it extensively enough? Is there more to this story that we need to know?
Well, it may be, and this is kind of not necessarily known outside of the film industry, but certain properties you don't have their rights in perpetuity on contracts. So sometimes, like, say, the studio, I think that's Paramount Studios may have the rights to Indiana Jones for 30 years, but they have to make a new film every 8 years or so to retain the rights. So that may be what's going on. That's why there's so many Batman movies, because to retain the rights, you got to keep cranking out.
So we all have to suffer so that they can retain the rights?
Yes.
Fine. All right, guys, when we get back on the other side, Howie Carr will be joining us. I can't wait to get his take on all things. Maybe we'll ask him about Indiana Jones. He's a Harrison Ford fan. Maybe he likes that movie. Who knows? We'll be back on the other side. This is The Grace Curley Show.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
The election is